Oh my God, it's Wednesday, March 23rd, and it's noon with news that you can use from YAA with your hosts, Zach and Ray. And, we're trying to represent Toyota today.
All right, Pops, we have the headphones on. That means one thing and one thing only. We've got a special guest joining us. We're going to be talking about all things Toyota, and this is actually us. We went up north to the great country of Canada. We're going to be bringing in a special guest here. Pops, I think someone's at the door. Can you let him in?
Yeah.
We've got Marcello, and I'm not going to butcher your last name. He is here on YouTube. Yeah, I'm not gonna let myself do that live. Marcello is the proud owner and operator of Toyota World here on YouTube. He's also a sales manager up at Maple Toyota in Ontario, Canada. We are thrilled to have Marcello with us here today, Dad. Marcello, why don't you give us a little bit of background on yourself, your channel, what you're doing, and then let's dive into the meaty stuff, like what the heck's happening with Toyota.
Yeah, cool. First of all, thank you very much, Zach and Ray. Great pleasure. Watch your stuff for a long time now, so it's cool to be on your show. So thank you for that. So everyone, Marcello Mastroianni, that's how it's pronounced. So we're here at Maple Toyota. Yeah, it's a tough one. We're here at Maple Toyota. I've been here for about 14 years and started out as a sales rep, got my feet wet for a few years. And then somewhere around 2011, I moved up to management and I've been there ever since. It's a good place, great company, Toyota. I started probably a couple of years ago, right when COVID hit, to be honest. No one was able to come into our showrooms and it was hard for them to see a vehicle, touch a vehicle, smell a vehicle. So I figured, why not start something where I can represent the product a little bit better to the public? They can see the features, they can see the colors and so on. And that was sometime in early 2020 and it just kind of went from there. Yeah, the public really likes it. So here we are.
Well, God bless you.
Yeah, it's fantastic that you have the YouTube channel. And again, it's Toyota World. Just search YouTube or Instagram or online for that. But Pops, I'll let you queue up the first question here for Marcello. What's top of mind? We got a real live breathing person on the ground, not just us, who are talking heads.
You want me to tee up the first question? Marcello, what the hell is going on with Toyota and their lack of production and lack of vehicles?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Unfortunately, what's going on, it's a global economical issue. There's a lot of natural disasters. There's a lot of COVID-related issues that sparked in the past 12 to 24 months that caused delays for everyone, right? Caused delays for, if you want to go buy a refrigerator, if you want to go buy an Xbox or whatever it is. So here we are in the car industry. And, you might not believe, but it's almost every manufacturer that's having issues. We're in an auto mall. So just to give you a little bit of a background where I work, we're part of an organization called the Zankin Automotive Group, which runs about 40 plus dealers in Ontario and all kinds of manufacturers. You've got Jaguar, you've got Honda, Nissan, Toyota. Every manufacturer is hurting a bit right now with regards to product availability. I think the difference of why you guys brought me on here, Toyota is a very transparent company, right? So whenever there's an issue, they deal with it. And sometimes they go public with that. So I think the recent news is really just news that any other manufacturer could be doing right now. But Toyota is trying to go to the forefront and say, hey, listen, there's an issue. Here's the issue. This is why. We don't know the severity as of yet. We don't know exactly how or when it's going to take effect, but this is what's going on. So you got to look at it like that. You got to look at it as a positive thing, I think. Transparency, get the word out there. If you want a Toyota, no problem, come in, but here's what it's going to look like, right? So I think that's cool. Not really to sweep stuff under the rug. It kind of puts the information in the hands of the public, which is always good.
So let's touch on that a little bit, Marcello. What is the buying experience right now at your dealership? We get asked the question constantly, and we have a ton of resources on it. I can't thank my dad for doing this enough. How to factory order a car, how to factory order a car, how to factory order a car. You can't factory order a Toyota. Can you kind of walk our audience and our community through what's the process of buying a Toyota like right now?
Yeah. So right now, our showroom is full, but it's full with vehicles that we are waiting to get delivered, right? And the reason why we do that is to show customers this is what the vehicle looks like. Now, you can't really drive them, of course, you can't sit in them, but at least you can see them, touch them, right? Probably back in, I would say, April of 2021 is when the news hit us saying, hey, there's going to be an issue. Just giving you guys a heads up, you're going to have shortages. And we're all looking like, no, that's the US, that's Ford, that's GM. No, that's Canada. Are you kidding? We're a small market, right? Compared to the US, you guys are massive, right? Anyway, so we kind of said, okay, we'll get there when we get there. And then July hit of 2021, and we noticed vehicles that were in production weren't getting built. And they were getting built a lot later than they were supposed to. And we said, okay, there's a problem coming. There's an issue coming. So it really hit us in summer of 2021. And that's when we had to kind of change our momentum of how we sell, of our dialogue to the customer, of our dialogue as management to the staff, right?
Yeah.
And we kind of changed everything, right? Like transparency is key, always. I brought these papers up, so I'll show you guys, I'll show the audience what we do here to identify a purchase of a vehicle. So we have 3 deal sheets when you come in and buy a vehicle.
Wow.
Yellow represents that you've bought the vehicle over the phone, via email. The customer was not here. The blue represents that you're a repeat customer, that you are a lease renewal. So you've got your lease that's due, and you're repeating that lease in another vehicle. The green is just a standard customer that we got off of a referral or a cold call or whatever it might be. But what we do actually, and this is what we've done since, like I mentioned, fall of 2021, late summer, is we've issued a clause on all of these documents. And unfortunately, you won't be able to really read it right there, but I'll kind of read it out to you. So basically what it says is that this is a factory order disclosure. You're factory ordering this vehicle. It may take 6 months or longer.
Wow.
Price, rates, and residual are subject to change. Trade-in to be reevaluated at time of delivery. So what we've done right there is we've set the tone for what's going on in the market. We've told customers, you know what, I don't have a production date for your RAV4. It's going to be a minimum of 6 months, might be longer. We're factory ordering this vehicle. We go through with it and we wait. We wait. But if you're transparent from the beginning, there's really no issue. The issue becomes when there's no dialogue like that, right? When the customer comes in, wants to buy a vehicle, and then they expect 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever it might be, but it's really 8.
Yeah.
That's when there becomes an issue, right? So it's just transparency right from the beginning. And we've been doing a great job at that. We do have a lot of factory orders pending, but everyone's been communicated with, so.
Just out of curiosity, having run dealerships in the past where we've done a lot of factory orders, what type of regimen have you set up for your salespeople to stay in contact with these people that have ordered the vehicles, so that the customer doesn't have to be the one contacting your staff wondering what's going on? Is there a certain regimen that's set up for your salespeople to be in touch with their customers?
Yes, so we do have I guess you can call it a CRM tool that we use, which sets up a task for that sales representative to automatically contact via phone, email, or text this customer until the date of delivery. But we're actually going to go one step further than that. We're going to set up an automated email for all of these customers in our buying cycle that bought that we know didn't pick up yet, and it's automatically going to send them an update. So we're working on that right now to be a little bit more in with the times. But yeah, definitely communication is key. Like even if we sell a vehicle today and we know it's not coming till September, which is normal right now, it's still important to have some kind of dialogue at least once a month, every couple of weeks. Say, hey, how's it going? Everything's still cool with your trade-in? This is what's going on, right?
I want to hit on something that's coming up in the chat here, and it comes from John. Wait, you cannot lock in and out the door price. And this is where things I think get really interesting is, Marcello, correct me if I'm wrong here, but You don't know if over the next 6 months that base MSRP from the manufacturer is going to change. And if that does happen, then you are probably going to pass that along to the customer. And you're also, I think you can speak to this a little bit, you're in Ontario, where if I'm not mistaken, you can't sell vehicles over the manufacturer's suggested retail price. So if you don't mind, hit on John's points there.
Yeah. So John, thanks for the question. So the way it works basically is we've already had this happen. So we've had the 2021 RAV4 hybrid XSE tech packages go up about $1,000 from the previous year to the 2022. Some changes in equipment and so on. So unfortunately, there's no protection for these things. It's just it never was. It never is. That the whole point here is to get these things covered at the time of making your deal. And if there is going to be some kind of protection, then that should be worked out, negotiated, or whatever the case is at that time. I would not expect that. I would not expect that to be an automatic for sure. I do know though that Nissan over here in Canada is having I believe it's called a 150-day sales event, but it looks like the sales event is with regards to this topic. It's with regards to protecting prices and MSRPs. So that's cool. You're starting to see some manufacturers doing that, but I would not assume. I definitely would not assume, no.
Especially in the midst of what happens with like Tesla, for example, where the prices, the manufacturer's suggested retail price changes weekly. We've talked about a bit on this show. Toyota is very transparent about what's happening within the organization, the challenges that they're facing, the fact that 11 out of their 14 factories in Japan were down. They put that out there. They didn't hide it. We've been talking about and kind of, just guessing that we wouldn't be surprised if we see some increases to MSRP on Toyotas. And yeah, in that case, what can you do? I mean, you can negotiate, obviously, the purchase order, but there's always going to be that clause that the dealer's going to have, which is, but if the manufacturer increases the price to us, we're going to pass it along to you.
I know when I was at the mini store, the way we used to do it is we would negotiate the price subject to any manufacturer's increase in price that will be passed on to the customer. So if the vehicle went up $200 from the time they ordered it to the time that it came in, there would be an additional $200 charge to the customer, because that was something we couldn't control, and that was something that Mini would not control for us. Yeah, it's just unfortunate.
It is. You know what, guys? Nobody likes to this position that we're living right now. It's not ideal for the customer. It's not ideal for the dealership, right? For the sales reps, but you've got to make the best of it. And it always boils down to transparency. It really does.
Can I ask a silly question?
Go ahead.
Prior to COVID, what was your normal on-ground inventory looking like in numbers of vehicles?
Yeah, so we're a big store. We're a Category 1 store, which is considered huge for Ontario. We would carry anywhere from about 250 to 300 new cars and about 100 or just shy of 100 pre-owned, but that's.
And now, and now, what's your available on hand?
Available?
Yeah,
one. Yeah, I've got to say one, but maybe not, guys. It might have been just sold this morning, but one.
Wow,
yeah,
that's a tough way to have to do business.
So your day's supply is zero.
Yeah. The only inventory we carry are the ones waiting to get picked up.
Wow.
Yeah. Aside from pre-owned.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Have you increased the amount of the pre-owned inventory over this time?
Hard to do that. We'd love to, but hard to do that because a large bulk of our trade-ins are off-lease vehicles, which to get that off-lease vehicle, we have to replace it. And it's hard to replace it. So it's hard to get that number up. Yeah. Hard to get that number up.
Want to pull up a chat message here from American Dude. OM gosh. I think it's oh my gosh. Two of my favorite channels. Love to see that. That's really awesome.
That's cool. Thank you, guys. That's awesome.
We've got a question here from Mahmoud, which I'll ask you, Marcello. Hi, does Toyota refund the deposit if the customer gets bored from the wait time or decline the possible increase in prices, or just change their mind at some point?
Yeah, so change your mind is a tough one. So here's the thing, viewers, we have to take buying a vehicle, and I'm not saying that we don't. We have to take buying a vehicle pretty serious. It's a very large purchase, second largest to the house. So we have to understand that when we buy a vehicle and sign a contract, that we're kind of binding ourselves into an agreement, right? But having said that, with these current times and this kind of climate, there is no reason why, if you're waiting too long and you don't want to continue waiting, that you should not be able to reverse that, right? But again, this is dealer to dealer. It's specific to the dealer. It's not a Toyota question. It's a dealer question. Over here at Maple Toyota, we don't like we don't like that a customer walks out if you're unhappy, whether that's because they bought a vehicle that they no longer want, or they bought a vehicle that they cannot wait for. So for us, it boils down to that. We just want the customer to leave happy, whether they leave with a vehicle or not. And I think that's what you got to look for when you're making your decision where you're going to purchase, right? But again, it's not a Toyota question. Toyota can get involved, but they always refer back to the dealer, always.
100%, it's dealer to dealer. All right, a couple more messages from the chat here. Then I've got one final question for you, Marcello. Pops, I'll toss it over to you as well. But here we go. Vigilant Seagull says, this stuff is hitting 4.2. I ordered a Mach-E, and they told me it could be up to a year. So this is obviously, like you were saying before, not just Toyota specific. No. We do have a Toyota question here, though, from Ranting Old Man. Will Toyota stay with hybrids or go to full EVs? Obviously, I don't know if you know the answer to that, Marcello, but your take on it would be interesting.
So my take on it is that the hybrid aspect, and this is my take, the hybrid aspect of what we have to offer right now is Toyota getting their feet wet into this kind of environment, getting away from the gasoline. You have to remember Toyota, and that's why I love the company, I love the brand. They started with the hybrid in the 90s, right? With the first Prius. This is a long time ago, before anyone was even thinking hybrid, right? I don't think hybrid is completely the future. We've got the new BZ series coming up, which should be hitting sometime within the next year. We've got the Mirai, which is fuel cell. There's a lot of different technology Toyota's playing with right now, and I think it's great that they're moving to other alternatives other than gasoline. Are hybrids strictly the future? I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Final question here from Thomas, and then I've got one, then one for you, Pops. 2023 Sequoia, looking to get one, but didn't want to receive until March of 2023. Do you recommend getting on a waiting list now to get in line when it becomes available, or place the order in the summer?
Yeah. So my message to viewers is, if you know you want a vehicle, you've already made up your mind, whether it's a RAV hybrid or whether it's a Sequoia. My recommendation is, if your nearest dealer or the dealer you're dealing with is willing to open up that waiting list, then I would go on it. Waiting until summer, waiting a month or two, it's only gonna delay your, like, for example, I said we're a category 1 store, which is large. We get a lot of inventory. We're getting one Sequoia hybrid this year. Just one. Yeah. As of now, just to give you an idea, right? So if you already made up your mind, yeah, I would definitely get on that list. Definitely get on that list.
That's insane.
Yes.
All right. Do you got a question for Marcello? Because I've got one in my head.
Do I have a question? Well, yes, I do.
Then he's got to go back to work. He's got customers probably in the show.
Guys, I'm here. Don't worry. We're here. We're live. Let's go. Let's do it. Don't worry.
My question for you is this: At what point do you think things will return to some level of normalcy?
Yeah.
Or do you think it's,
or is this the new normal?
Or is this now the new normal?
Yeah, that's a good one. I just
answered. When you hate to have to answer.
No, it's okay. Let me get my crystal ball. Hang on.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I hate to bring up COVID, but if you guys remember life before COVID, I don't think that it'll ever go back to that, right? And that's the same with the auto dealers. Now, this all started off with COVID, computer chip issues, and now it's going further and further. I don't think it will ever go back to the way it was. I also don't think that it'll stay in where it is right now, but there will be a median somewhere where the two worlds will, I'm going to use Seinfeld here, the two worlds will collide, and they'll make a new world for how business is done. And that's the reality. No, it won't go back to it. I don't think it will go back to the way it was. No. And if I'm wrong, then that's fine. But then that's a very long time from now.
Definitely. All right, I've got one question for you, Marcello, and then again, we can't thank you enough for taking the time to be with us
No
here
worries.
today.
This was good. Thanks, guys.
Can you touch on a little bit, at the dealership, my dad taught me this when we first started YAA back in the day. There's really 3 profit centers to the dealership, 3 business units. There's parts, there's sales, and there's service.
Yeah.
I don't want you to get into the nitty-gritty of what's going on, like on the P&L in any of those departments. What I want to ask is, just generally speaking, what's happening in the service side right now? What's happening in terms of parts availability? Is this confined to just the sales side of your dealership, or is this more broad that you're struggling across? I don't want to say struggling in a bad way, but that we're facing issues across the board.
Yeah, it's so good point, and I like that you brought this up. So you've got parts, you've got service, you've got sales. Actually, in our dealership, like I said, we're a big store. We also have a body shop, right? We have an in-house body shop, and if I can tell you guys, they're hurting a lot with regards to supply on items. We've got vehicles that were in accidents in October, November that are still sitting here, not fixed. Customer's still in a rental. I've got the parts we need for a vehicle late model that I can't get, and I know the customer, and it's unfortunate. We're gonna have to put them in a rental or find an alternative. It's everywhere. The only difference is how you handle it. You might have to handle it a little bit different when you're in the back end in service. Costs for oil has gone up. Right? Availability of oil is hard to get to. I remember at one point, maybe early this year or late last year, there was actually an issue where there was little to no oil for the dealers.
Wow.
Yeah. So you've got it. Again, transparency really is key. It's really key. And it follows through to all the departments.
And it's interesting because if you can't buy a new car and then you're holding on to an existing vehicle, and it seems like, you're not the only person I've asked that question, Marcello, but it seems like there's a looming, or it's already here, part shortage. And quite frankly, I've heard from others, a labor shortage as well, skilled labor shortage. You end up in a situation where the automakers have a monopoly on vehicles and what you can drive in this country, but you're not going to be able to maintain it. You're not going to be able to repair it. You're not going to be able to buy a new, I hate to be that guy who's seeing a dark cloud over Maple Toyota, but I think it's that one right there. That one makes me a little nervous. It's tough to be a consumer right now. And of course it's tough for all those people working at Toyota's corporate office. They're not thrilled about this either, but
May I say something?
Please, Bob.
Yes, it's tough to be a consumer. It really is. And I know there are a lot of people out there that say I'm an apologist for car dealers, but I did spend 43 years in the automotive industry, and I can tell you that it's tough being in Marcello's position. Life is much easier when you have inventory and people can come in and just buy cars. The life of a sales manager, if I may, is like being a firefighter. You spend your day putting out fires, customer issues, service issues, whatever it is. But today, these are different fires than you've ever had to deal with in the past. And so just from my perspective on having spent 43 years in this business, I feel bad for you for the position that as a dealer or an employee of the dealership that you're now put into because of these shortages. It's bad for everybody.
Yeah. At the end of the day, so you got to remember, career-wise, as a sales rep, as management, if we can't come in here, sell and deliver vehicles in a timely fashion, like I said, it's not advantageous for the worker, nor is it for the customer, right? So we're making do. Times right now are, let's say, very interesting, but you've got to make the best of it. You've got to be transparent, and eventually things we'll get through this eventually.
100%.
Absolutely.
Well, Marcello, again, his YouTube channel is Toyota World. Go take a peek. And here, I'll actually just pop it up on the screen for one moment so that if you end up on a different Toyota World, you needed to end up on this one. Cool. There you go. Let's actually, I can't share my screen that way. Marcello, once we hop off, I'll pull it up right on the screen. I just read it. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much, Marcello. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yep. Take care now.
All right, so here's what I was trying to show you. Give me 1 second here. There we go. So there's Toyota World. Go find him on YouTube and watch his videos. Obviously in the Toyota World, no pun intended.
Take these off now?
Oh, yeah. The Car Care Nut, Toyota certified mechanic. Check out his channel as well. We're going to be doing a video with AMD, the Car Care Nut, next week, so stay tuned there. Fascinating stuff, and it's great to be able to talk to someone who's boots on the ground. Obviously, you're talking to Chip and your other friends who still work in the industry, but it's great to be able to hear directly from the source of what's happening.
Yes, no, and it's not good for anybody. This is not the way business should be. And I know if I were in the business right now, I would much prefer that you actually have inventory and you're working on putting out different types of fires than the types of fires these guys are dealing with on a daily basis today.
100%. All right, want to turn our attention here today, gang, back on joinyaa.com. We've got about 24 hours left on the 20% off on a premium membership. About 36 hours left. Like I said, just use luck at checkout. Membership, you can read all about it right here. But I actually want to head over to the community forum, Dad. Last week, we set a record for most number of new members joining our community. It was incredible.
Yeah.
There are thousands of people each week joining YAA, which is awesome. The community forum is popping off. So if you are not in the community forum, please get in here. We're getting dealership reviews coming up.
Yes.
This website, markups.org, super cool that someone posted. Should I do an early lease trade-in or lease extension? Let's see if we can actually find a deal real quick, and maybe we can take put eyes on it. We are in the market for a new 2022 Toyota Sienna XSE. This past weekend, I spoke to a salesman at Toyota of Katy here in Houston. He said because the Siennas are such a hot selling item, the only way to get one was putting a deposit down. You're going to learn and find all sorts of good insights and valuable information here. Deal review. Anyway, I wanted to put the community on the pedestal for a moment there because it's hugely valuable and super useful in this time.
It's helpful. It's helpful to everybody that participates in it.
Yeah. All right, let's answer one final question and then we'll call it a day, Pops. How do salesmen make money if there are no cars to sell? We should ask Marcello that.
Well, it's harder. In the old days, 2 years ago, the average commission was about $500 for every car sold. So, if a salesman wanted to make a decent living, you had to sell quite a few cars. Now today, in order to make that same type of living with the markups or selling vehicles at MSRP, the commission amount has gone up.
Oh yeah, because record profits for the vehicles that are
the volume has gone down.
That's what's very fascinating. Marcello works for a Canadian Toyota dealership.
Yes.
In Canada, you cannot mark up above MSRP.
You can't sell it for above MSRP.
But yes. So you got to get creative about how you're making extra money. But it's interesting that we're here in the United States, most of our audience is in the United States, where the price markups are egregious. It's fascinating. I bet you they've had to. Marcello did not tell us this. I'm speculating here. I bet you their head count, their staff is a lot smaller today than it was 3 years ago.
I would think
there's no reason. There's no reason.
Yes, I would think it would be so that the remaining salespeople can divvy up the fewer deals that there are and still be making the same type of living that they were making before.
All right. We've got from Christopher Spavins, OMG. This chap really knows what he's talking about. Yep. He really knows what's happening. Absolutely. We've got here from Steven. Maybe you can bring in representatives from different brands, different days. Absolutely. I'd love to get someone from Toyota corporate, Subaru corporate, Hyundai corporate, Ford corporate. Jim Farley, I'll send you a quick email in just a moment. And Jeff is here with us saying, totally off subject. However, I love your identical noses.
Well, thank you. I believe that I might have had something to do with it.
Jordan says, awesome episode, best ever. And Space says, our Canadian friends still get crazy add-ons. If you are in Canada and you're joining us here on YAA or on the Ray and Zach channel, we do have a Canada a community channel.
Yes.
So check that out and spend some time there. All right, Pops, let's call it a day. Thank you for your time. Thank you again to Marcello, Toyota World. We'll be back tomorrow at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific.
With more news that you can use from YAA.
Thank you, Pops. Thank you, guys. See you tomorrow.
See everybody tomorrow. Thank you all.